Good morning, everybody, and thanks for coming back after the break. I have the distinct honor of recognizing the Institute's Citation recipient. This citation was created to acknowledge an organization that makes an impact on the community and inspires others to take action to solve today's most pressing challenges. The recipient must demonstrate a sustained commitment to the cause and be a model by which others are measured. BridgeUSA fits this description to a T. BridgeUSA was founded in 2017 by young Americans seeking dialogue over division. After seeing polarization consume their own college campuses, a group of students started a movement to bridge differences and change how to talk about politics. They'd hold regular meetings built to be civic space for open conversations. Their aim isn't to tell students what they should or should not believe, but how to talk about sensitive matters, particularly when in disagreement. And after 7 years, they have 82 active chapters in 40 states on college campuses across the nation. These chapters are student-led and often regular opportunities for civil discussions, attending workshops and organizing talks with speakers from both sides of the political aisle. Their secret sauce, if you will, in these discussions includes several ingredients. First, listen to listen, not to respond. Second, don't interrupt or have side conversations. Third, remember that a person represents themselves, not a broader demographic or group. And fourth, when a disagreement arises, critique the argument in its substance, not the person making the argument. At the Bush Institute, we have adopted these norms into our listening sessions of our own and found them extremely helpful. They cut through the clutter and allow for human connection on common ground. The BridgeUSA mindset champions understanding, empathy, open-mindedness, and a willingness to engage those who may be different from us. At a time when many believe polarization is the biggest threat facing our country, BridgeUSA is building leaders who will change the way Americans interact. Accepting this award on behalf of the organization is Manu, co-founder and CEO of BridgeUSA. But before he comes to the stage, we'd like to showcase BridgeUSA's participants respectfully and joyfully engaging in this critical dialogue.
We have 28% liberal students, we have 28% conservative students, and we have 44% independent/undecided folks. That is an insane statistic because that is literally the division in the country, which is amazing. It's an ideologically representative sample. These types of gatherings don't exist.
Bridging the gap between two major divides in this country. And who better to tackle that than the next generation of students?
Conservative versus liberal versus authoritarian versus libertarian. I think there's a lot more opportunity for people to find that common ground than we realize in society today.
I'm grateful to live in a country that's home to a stable democracy with regular elections that stands for justice.
I believe a country's greatness is measured by how well it serves its citizens and provides them with opportunities for growth.
How much of success is really opportunity-based, and how much of success comes from being able to have opportunities that not everyone else has?
In and of ourselves, America is an echo chamber. We only listen to people who have our opinions, and the whole point of Bridge is to do the complete opposite of that.
It is about you, it is not about me. 50 chapters, we started with 5. We've got hundreds of thousands of dollars now ready to mobilize our movement. We started with like 10 in our first discussion. We were in 1 state, now we're in 22. All under the age of 25. It is possible. It is within you.
The recipient of the George W. Bush Institute Citation, Manu.
Well, hello, everybody. I guess Secretary Gates yesterday said that the young kids have a bad rap, so I think this is the session to sort of uncover that portion. Let me just say I have a deep sense of gratitude to the George W. Bush Institute, to David Kramer, to the entire staff, but most importantly, the award that we're accepting today is a representation of the hard work of the students that I work with on a daily basis. In fact, we have some of our colleagues here today, Haley, Usma. I want to leave you with one sort of insight as I've been listening to the conversations, the panel, the engagement that we've had over the last 5 to 6 hours, and that is that I think we're actually a lot closer to a culture of pluralism than we think. Here's what I mean by that. This award brought me back to a day that changed the trajectory of my life. February 2nd, 2017. I was a freshman at UC Berkeley. I was a pre-med student, so standing next to an award by the George W. Bush Institute is kind of shocking to me. And I was walking back from my math seminar, and I distinctly remember protests in the distance as helicopters were flying overhead and as students were violently engaged in trying to demonstrate against a specific speaker that had come to campus. And I remember walking past a cafe, and the cafe, the window was broken in. Inside it said, CNN, UC Berkeley students protest free speech. Now, I didn't know what any of that meant. I didn't know the concept of free speech at that time to the extent that I know it now, but there was one thing that was clear, and that was the amount of pain, the amount of anger, the amount of intolerance that was existing within the student body between young people across the board. And it got me thinking about one thing, which is that the next day, me and some random people, some of them that are now my best friends, we got together and we said, we're going to create a space for young people to be able to listen, to be able to have a conversation, to be able to engage. And that conversation that we hosted, it changed the trajectory of my life because it showed me that I think we radically underestimate how divided we are, and I think we radically overestimate the power of a conversation. But at this moment, when we can engage, when we can listen, we can actually engage in conversations at an incredible scale. Right now, our students are demonstrating one thing, and that is that the problem in our country is not that we're incredibly divided. The problem in our country is that we have a loud minority of voices across the political spectrum, I call it the crazy uncle problem, that dominate the conversation while the rest of us are completely silent. And so the question becomes, how do you build an identity? How do you build a movement? How do you build a concept and an infrastructure around this idea of pluralism where you activate that silent majority? What's so special about this award is that it is a representation and an affirmation of the silent majority of young people on college campuses that we work with on a daily basis to say, when you sit in class, when you're listening, and forget college campuses, beyond in our broader society, when you're there and you're holding tight and you're saying, man, that's crazy, you're not alone. In fact, there's a possibility for a movement at this time. The reason why I think this work is going to succeed, the reason why I think pluralism at this time is necessary, the reason why my friends and I work incredibly hard to support these chapters, we work with presidents and political leaders from across the spectrum, is that we understand and believe that to engage, to listen, to dialogue is a 21st century skill. It's a skill as important as AI competency or being technologically engaged. I believe that dialogue at this time is necessary because we live in the most ambitious democratic experiment in the history of humanity. Imagine I told you there's a society out there with 330 million people, all of whom look differently than each other, heavily armed, trying to make it work? That's an aberration in the context of the human race and civilization. What we do on a daily basis, what our students are doing on the front lines of their college campuses, is they're demonstrating that when you meet difference, not with violence, not with intolerance, but conversation, with listening, with engagement, you are actually in the majority of people that are lighting the vanguard for what tomorrow can look like. I'll be honest with you. I think that my generation's political project is a political project that is going to be focused on uplifting a new divide. And that divide is not between the right and the left. That divide is between people that believe in being open-minded and people that believe in being closed-minded. I believe that that divide is between people that want to listen to people that are different than themselves and people that want to shut people out. I believe that the new divide is a divide between people that believe in the opportunity of a conversation to be able to build something better and people that believe that conversation is antithetical to democracy. There's an opportunity for a new tent. There's an opportunity for a new hope. And our students are doing that on a daily basis. And so I've got one ask for you, which is at this time of incredible hopelessness, remember that dialogue and conversation is actually the counterculture. We are actually the rebellion against the status quo. In a moment when outrage sells, students and young people across the country believe that we need to be able to listen, because if we don't have that, then we can't pull off what Thomas Paine said was humanity's last best hope. Thank you so much to everybody here, and thank you so much to the George W. Bush Institute for this award. I'm so grateful to be representing our students.